President and as Commander-in-Chief, I take full responsibility for all our counterterrorism operations, including the one that inadvertently took the lives of Warren and Giovanni. I profoundly regret what happened. On behalf of the United States government, I offer our deepest apologies to the families.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the president earlier today talking about the Italian and U.S. hostages that were killed in a counter-terror operation back in January. Joining us now is Richard Perle, Senior Fellow, American Enterprise Institute, former chair of the Pentagon's Defense Policy Board, and former Assistant Secretary of Defense. Great to talk to you again, Richard. There's a fine line, I think, and I'm kind of surprised that that they made such a big deal that the president himself came out. Maybe I'm wrong. I would have seen calling the family, offering my condolences and apologies or whatever you want to do, regrets. But to come out, he went on to say the fact that we're apologizing shows our exceptionalism, blah, blah, blah. They're reviewing the counterterrorism efforts. Everything is under review. I mean, how are we supposed to know that these animals are, have human shields down in the basement or something?
Well, evidently we didn't know, and while the president was certainly right to express regret and condolences, I don't believe an apology is called for. We're in a war against people who are trying to kill us, and it's entirely appropriate that we take military action against them. And unfortunately, we don't always hit exactly the target we're aiming at. So it's regrettable, but I don't believe apologies are called for.
Well, I'm with you, and I thought the second I heard it, I thought exactly what you're saying, and I thought maybe there was something wrong with me. So you've reinstated my my belief in myself. Let's talk a little bit about Iran. It's funny. Ralph Peters was with me the other day when Obama announced that, I think it was Monday, when they announced that we're sending the warships to Yemen and making sure no Iranian ships get involved, that we might even board Iranian ships. And he said, well, if that's the case, we had better mean it. And of course, just the other day, yesterday, you had the State Department spokesperson saying, oh, no, that was erroneous reporting. We're just there to make sure that the ship lanes stay open. We're not going to confront Iranian ships. So was it a change in policy, or was it never intended to confront Iranian ships at all?
Well, if it had been intended to confront Iranian ships, it would have been the first time this administration has confronted the Iranians on anything.
No, well, that's absolutely true.
I'm afraid that Iran is very much on the march. It's aggressive. It's becoming more aggressive. And the president, unfortunately, is obsessed with the idea of getting an agreement, which is a bad agreement to begin with, and will do nothing that might interfere with that. So he is sacrificing our position, the position of our friends and allies, in the mistaken belief that somehow an agreement with Iran is going to convert the mullahs into something they're never going to be, which is a force for good in the world.
Yesterday or the day before, Josh Earnest was asked about Mohammed Morsi, the head of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, who's now in jail. He was the former, head of the country, and then he was overthrown. He was. I think he's about to be sentenced or has been sentenced. And the administration, through Josh Earnest, expressed great concern that it's a priority of the administration to make sure that everyone in Egypt gets a proper trial and human rights and blah, blah, blah. Yet we have, Richard, a Marine, a reporter who was just charged as a spy, and a Christian pastor. The Marine and the pastor, we know, have been beaten and tortured in Iranian prisons, and we're kissing their butts. And I don't see the White House making statements that they're as concerned about their rights as they are Mohammed Morsi.
Well, I'm afraid the concerns and the sensitivities of the White House seem to be limited largely to our enemies and not our friends or even our own citizens. Yeah, look, it's a tragedy that at a very difficult time in the world, with the Iranians on the march, with ISIS on the march, two extremist groups that are unified only in the desire to destroy us and our civilization, we have a president who can't lead and can't seem to find the means to express the concerns that are obvious. It's really astonishing, and I have a feeling, which I can't prove, that even in an administration which does not have towering figures, there is real discontent among the professionals at the terrible vacuum that the absence of the United States is creating around the world.
Absolutely. Just we don't have a lot of time, so it's unfair to ask this, and I'm going to try to slip it in. There are people saying that Marie Harf, the State Department spokesperson who famously had that interview with Chris Matthews saying you got to get these people jobs to prevent terrorism, we can't beat them on the battlefield. They say George Bush said the same thing, George W. Bush. He might have intimated that, but he never said it the way she said it. Am I correct?
I don't recall him saying it, but the truth is that there's a lot of nonsense spoken about the sources of the terror.
Right. 10 seconds, Richard. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with poverty. It's been mostly propagated by upper middle class individuals.
Yep, absolutely. Richard, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much. We're coming back, ladies and gentlemen, with Victoria Hearst, who says that Cosmo is pornography and her family publishes Cosmo. Don't go away.